In today's fast-paced world, where stress seems to control more and more of our lives, have you ever paused to ask yourself, why does stress dominate us so much? This stress not only weighs on our minds, but also erodes our bodies and spirits day by day. Is there a way to free ourselves from this invisible burden and rediscover peace within? Buddhism, originating in ancient India in the 6th century BCE, is not just a religion, but a way of life that offers a powerful means of freeing oneself from suffering. The Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, after attaining enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, spread his teachings on how to liberate the mind from the cycles of birth and death, as well as from the anxieties and stresses of daily life. Buddhism spread from India across the Himalayas to Tibet, China, Japan, and throughout Asia, blending with local cultures, yet preserving its core teachings of letting go and attaining enlightenment. Millions of people, from east to west, have found the path to liberation through Buddhist practice, learning to slow down, listen to their inner selves, and return to the source of inner peace. While Western philosophy often directs people towards success, fame, and material wealth, Buddhism guides individuals towards stillness and detachment. This makes Buddhism an effective tool for dealing with stress, a growing issue in modern Western societies. From a Buddhist perspective, stress is not merely a temporary emotional state, but a manifestation of attachments and illusions that we create for ourselves. The Buddha taught that all human suffering stems from attachment to things we cannot control, which leads to anxiety, stress, and suffering. When we cling to material possessions, fame, or even relationships, we begin to fear loss, and that fear breeds endless stress. Buddhism conceptualizes suffering through the Four Noble Truths. The truth of suffering, dukkha, the origin of suffering, samudaya, the cessation of suffering, nirodha, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering, magga. Stress is a form of suffering, but if we understand its nature, we can transcend it. This awareness doesn't mean avoiding suffering, but facing it with a deep understanding of its origin. The stress we face daily, from work pressure, personal relationships, to major life events, can all be alleviated if we grasp the essence of suffering and let go of attachments to outcomes. Only when the mind is free from invisible bonds can we truly escape stress. One of the practical methods Buddhism offers for dealing with stress is meditation. Meditation is at the heart of Buddhist practice, helping individuals turn inward, calm the mind, and release negative thoughts. The Buddha taught that when we meditate and observe our breath mindfully, we can release ourselves from attachment to emotions and anxieties. Vipassana meditation, one of the most widely practiced forms of meditation, encourages practitioners to observe the body and mind without reacting. When you meditate, there are no wandering thoughts about the future or the past, just a pure awareness of the present through each inhalation and exhalation. With each breath, we gradually release tension and realize that all thoughts and emotions are just fleeting waves. Nothing is permanent. Modern scientific research has shown that practicing meditation can reduce cortisol levels, the hormone responsible for stress, improve focus, enhance memory, and lead to better sleep quality. These benefits are not just seen in long-time meditators, but also in those who are just beginning to practice. In Buddhism, compassion, karuna, and non-self, anatta, are two key qualities that help reduce stress in a sustainable way. When we practice compassion, not only towards others but also towards ourselves, stress no longer has control over us. By understanding that all beings suffer just as we do, we create a sense of connection and love, replacing negative emotions. Compassion is not simply feeling pity, but involves taking action to help others, and in doing so, we also free ourselves from psychological constraints. This helps reduce stress because when we see the pain of others and understand that it is not unique, we begin to let go of personal worries. The doctrine of non-self teaches that there is no fixed self, and everything is subject to change. Stress, anxiety, and even the things that cause us to suffer are all temporary. When we fully understand this, we are no longer overly attached to our ego, and no longer bound by the fear of loss or failure. Let me tell you a story about the Buddha under the Bodhi tree. Before attaining enlightenment, he was confronted by Mara, the evil one, who conjured illusions and temptations to distract him. However, instead of reacting or feeling fear, the Buddha remained still, observing everything without being swayed. He realized that everything, from suffering to worry, was just a passing phenomenon, and if one's mind remains calm, nothing can disturb them. This story illustrates a profound lesson. We cannot control the events that occur in life, but we can control our reactions to them. When facing stress, remember that it is just part of life, and like everything else, it will pass. In modern life, we often face pressures from work, family, and society. But Buddhist teachings remind us that stress is not something we must endure forever. By practicing meditation, compassion, and letting go of the self, we can ease the burden of stress and rediscover inner peace. When you feel overwhelmed by work, remember that nothing is permanent, and the outcome is not as important as how you perform the task with a peaceful mind. In personal relationships, practice compassion and understand that everyone has their own suffering. This will help you avoid feeling stressed when facing conflicts or disappointments. Many Western business leaders and entrepreneurs have found strength through meditation and Buddhist philosophy to cope with the stresses of daily life. Take Steve Jobs, for example, who practiced meditation from a young age and sought inner stillness throughout his career. Buddhism teaches that stress is not an enemy, but a natural part of life that we can learn to face. By practicing meditation, compassion, and letting go of the self, we can find peace even in the most difficult circumstances. What do you think? Can these Buddhist principles help you reduce stress and find tranquility in modern life? Share your thoughts and let's continue the conversation.